Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Play, Pause, Rewind, our 134th episode. Yeah, we're back again. We're talking about a movie. We're talking about a Marvel movie this time. Niles, how have you been the last couple weeks since we recorded?
I've been well, very busy. I keep saying it every episode when we were doing these. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm planning a wedding this year, and that's just like top of mind every day. Yeah, it's getting out of the wire here, but otherwise, doing great, having a good time with it. What about you, Dylan? How have you been since we talked about the Odyssey?
Pretty good. Just busy with work. I got promoted, so that's my big life update. Not as exciting as getting
Woo!
married, but it helps.
Yeah,
But
congrats.
yeah, things have been pretty low key otherwise. Oh, thank you. Um, but yeah, enough about us. Nobody's here for that. Niles,
Yeah,
what are we talking about this week?
we are talking about the new Spider-Man Brand New Day MCU film. And it is the fourth Spider-Man film in the MCU, fourth Tom Holland one, and it is riding off of this cliffhanger ending from No Way Home, um, which was the whole big old Spider-Man extravaganza where we had all the old Spider-Man and
Mm-hmm.
villains back in the mix. Lots of fan service in that one, but it was a fun movie. But it's riding off of that coattails from that ending, where Peter Parker has
Mm-hmm.
become completely forgotten by everybody in his world. He's anonymous now. Even his friends, as well, do not remember him, and this allows him to lean fully into his Spider-Man persona this time around. However, along the way, a strange new foe emerges, and the demands of Spider-Man and his own personal life just intensify, which triggers a
Mm-hmm.
surprising physical evolution that threatens his existence.
Oh my god, yeah. Written by Chris McKenna, Eric Summers, and Stan Lee. Credit to
Of
Stan
course.
Lee. And directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who did Shang-Chi and Just Mercy, among
Mm-hmm.
other things. The film stars Tom Holland, Zendaya, Sadie Sink, Jon Bernthal, Jacob Batalon, Mark Ruffalo, Tramell Tillman, and plenty of others. Lots of returning faces to the Spider-Man franchise and the MCU in general. Niles, what are some of your initial non-spoiler thoughts? There are a lot of spoilers to this movie, by the way, audience. So when we get to that point, we will tell you. You can leave if you haven't seen the movie. But go for it, Niles. What are some
Yeah.
of your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Good call. Yeah. What we'll do is let's avoid the spoilers to start, obviously. But I will say that I quite enjoyed this film,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I haven't seen the other previous three films that were Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I haven't seen them in a
Mm-hmm.
while.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw them all like once when they came out, and I just really haven't come back to them. But based on my memory, I think this is probably my favorite Tom Holland Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
film. And so if you are also interested, side note, if you're interested in hearing our thoughts on No Way Home, we did an episode on that, episode 25 of this podcast. So please go check that out if you want to, if you're curious about our thoughts. And we also talked about this director's other MCU film before too, which is Shang-Chi.
Mm-hmm.
That was episode 17 on our podcast too. So I actually
Early
didn't even
days.
realize that was his. So yeah, we've been doing this a while. Um, but yeah, I liked this movie. I think it's a lot of fun, and it feels like a more mature take on Spider-Man too. Like
Mm-hmm.
at this point, Tom Holland as Peter Parker, he is just kind of completely out of that phase of like teenagerhood. Like he's out of high school,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's completely on his own and fully into his own adulthood now. So like he's got no support system. It's very much focused on like his own isolation and his growth. We'll get to that, but I am very pleased with it overall, and all the creative decisions as well. I think were very emotional, very original, and
Mm-hmm.
also grounded too. Like the movie before this one, No Way Home. There was some
Mm-hmm.
fan service in that, with bringing Andrew Garfield in, Tobey Maguire, and then all those other villains from the previous films too. So it was just kind of like, oh man, what's going on here? I had a great time
Mm-hmm.
watching it, but it did kind of feel fan servicey, and this one
Mm-hmm.
does not. I think it's confident in its own direction and its script and its story,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't lean too hard on just like like here's the Hulk, or that happens, but it's not like overblown or anything like that. I think it's an
Mm-hmm.
appropriate dosage through it. I have like one major gripe with this film, which we'll get to in spoilers. I don't want to talk too much about it just yet, but I will say I think regardless of whether you're a casual fan, a new fan, diehard MCU
Mm-hmm.
fan, or you're just looking for something fun to watch, I think you will enjoy Brand New Day. I think this is a great movie. But Dylan, what are some of your initial thoughts on Brand New Day?
Yeah, I share the gripe you have, and we'll get more into it.
Yes.
But I really, really liked this. I think, and it may just be recency bias talking a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I'm willing to call this my favorite of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. It's the first time. The first one had this to a degree, but I think this is the first time really since then that he's felt like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man,
Yes.
and I think this is the most confidently made movie of the bunch. Like a lot of it was shot practically on location. I don't know if you remember seeing all that on-set footage of him fighting the tank, which is a big
Mm-hmm.
sequence early in the movie. Like that was like shot. They did some practical web swinging, and he was chasing that tank around like in the streets of.
Cool.
I think they were in Scotland somewhere, even though the
Uh-huh.
movie takes place in New York. But also like you can't film a fucking tank in Manhattan. It's
Yeah.
fine. But it's much more rich in color than the other
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man MCU movies, so I think that really added to it a lot as well. It just feels very vibrant. Tom Holland is actually in a physical suit for a lot of the movie,
Yeah.
which he's not as much in the other ones. Yeah, I think this is great. I think and to your point, comparing it to No Way Home, the last movie, the one that capped off the previous trilogy. I hate to really call anything in the MCU a trilogy because it's
Right.
not.
Yeah.
That's not the structure of these things. But that one like leaned heavily into the multiverse. Doctor Strange was there. You had heroes and villains from other iterations of Spider-Man, which is fun as a gimmick. I think we reviewed that movie pretty positively too, with some
Yeah.
negatives, basically saying like, "Oh, you've kind of like blown your load with all the iconic Spider-Man villains now. Like, it's gonna feel weird when he meets Norman Osborn or Otto
Right.
Octavius in his own universe now, because like we kind of did a lot of that already." But
Mm-hmm.
I really like that they went in a totally different direction than that with this one. And Tom Holland did a little bit of talking about this during the press tour, that the original script for the movie was very different than what we got. And it was more leaning
Mm.
in the multiverse direction. And I think the way he kind of said it was like, it was something a lot of fans were asking for, but it didn't really speak to us as creatives. And he really hated it. So he pushed back and they rewrote the movie. And
Mm.
I mean, one, it's cool to see Tom Holland kind of throwing his weight around a little bit and really pushing for a more creatively driven approach to the movie. But two, I think like whatever fans say they want, I think, and we talk about this with Star Wars a lot too, right? It's like it's not your job to give the fans what they're telling you they want.
Yeah.
It's your job to give them what they don't yet realize they want, and I think that is this movie. I
Mm-hmm.
think it ties into the universe very organically, but it feels very Spider-Man, and that is, I think, what we needed at this point. And it makes me excited to see more of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Whereas
Yeah.
before, he wasn't really like as important in the MCU to me. He is
Mm-hmm.
now like one of the highest priorities I have in this franchise. So it
Wow.
also feels like a very lived-in MCU New York. You know what I mean? Like and we'll
Yes.
talk about that more in spoilers, but it feels like a comic book brought to life in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would totally agree with you on all of that. And I remember you mentioning that in the Odyssey review, like Tom Holland having
Mm-hmm.
kind of more of an
Mm-hmm.
agency in the
Yeah.
production of this film, like just after
Mm-hmm.
working with Christopher Nolan, just be like, no, we got to do it this way. We got to.
Yep.
I know how movies are made now.
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
it's not in front of a green screen.
Yeah. I think like working, because he was pretty young when he got cast as Spider-Man initially for Civil War,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think I haven't like been super interested in a lot of the stuff he's done in his career, honestly.
Yeah,
It's been
sure.
fine, but I think he worked with Nolan and really got a different type of experience than the one he probably has gotten here. Like we've talked about this with Marvel a lot. It's like it's very much a machine. It's there's
Yes.
sometimes creative expression gets through, but it's very much sort of they have their system. It's worked for them in the past. I think it's been faltering the last several years, but um, I think he got a taste of something different, and he came back and brought that energy to this, and it shows. Not to give
Yeah.
him full credit, obviously, it's a team effort as always.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, you want to hop into spoilers?
Yeah, let's do it. So this is your break for spoilers. Go watch the movie and then come back.
Get
to
out of
engage. Here. Yeah,
we don't want you here.
well, we do, but just not yet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but to your point, so now we're in spoilers. Would you were just talking about non-spoilers about like how it felt like a comic book in this movie, and like I totally agree with you when I see that, especially like in that opening montage of like Spider-Man, like 5 years have passed, right, since the spell went into effect, and it's just like this quick montage of like Spider-Man fighting a bunch of different types of villains. And I think that's just so great because like all of these like little shots, you know, maybe 10 seconds they spend on like a villain or something like that, and it's just like out of a comic book. It just looks like a comic panel, you know, like, and I think that that was obviously very intentional. There.
I think a lot of them are specific issue covers as well that they reference in them, but in a lot of these are villains that have showed up in other properties. Like the Scorpion is in Spider-Man Homecoming, the first one. And then the Tombstone, I think is the villain's name, the guy who's like holding him out over the ledge, he's in something. And there are probably other ones that I don't know, but like I haven't kept up on all the like TV show stuff, especially the old Netflix era stuff. I kind of fell off that back in the day, but like it's cool. It's like, oh, he exists in this world. Frank Castle's there too. He's from the Daredevil shows and the Punisher shows. And they have this like established relationship from something that happened on Staten Island. It's kind of a fun like little you remember the like Budapest joke from the first Avengers movie where like Hawkeye and Black Widow like they keep talking about Budapest, and then they fucking ruin it by trying to show what happened in Budapest at one point, I think later on in the series. But like
I think they do. Yeah,
I think
you're right. I think they did that.
They explain it in Black Widow, right?
That's what it is. Yes,
that's what it. Yeah, but it's like we don't need to know what happened on Staten Island. It's just something happened on Staten Island, and they kind of disagree about what happened.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I need to know. I don't need any more information than that, and it provides sufficient like comedy in the film here. But you know, I think ultimately the core of this movie are these like themes of like isolation, loneliness, and community at the end of the day. You know, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, really, he is completely alone in this movie. You know, no one remembers who he is. He's lost Aunt May. Happy has no memory of him. MJ, Ned have no memory of him. Nobody from the past is there for him. Tony Stark is dead. So it's like he is just completely alone and on his own. And I think the creators of this film did a really good job by spending a lot of time just focusing on those themes, on these aspects of Peter, because I mean, can you just imagine if tomorrow nobody remembered who you were? It's like, that would be crazy. That would be a life-changing event to begin with, but like, how do you move on from the past? Like, no one has any memories of you. You're struggling to find like your place in this world, aside from just being like a superhero. It's like, who is Peter Parker at the end of the day? We know who Spider-Man is, but Peter Parker's a whole other thing, you know?
Well, and part of his arc that we'll talk about in a little bit is that his solution for a long time is that Peter Parker is nobody. Peter Parker doesn't have a place to exist. He's just Spider-Man. And we'll talk about like the effect that has on him in the movie, but also anyone as a person. Like that type of isolation is not sustainable. It's not healthy, and you can't exist like that. But yeah, I like though that he is so alone in this movie. One, like it's always the joke with a lot of truth to it. That's like Spider-Man is best when Peter Parker is just fucking miserable, right? Like the best Spider-Man stories. It's just like he just has the worst time, and like everything goes wrong. He's trying to balance everything and he just can't quite do it. And then people get mad at him and he can't explain why. And it's
Mm-hmm.
you need that. And we haven't really had it in the MCU thus far because like due to the way he was introduced, he always had like that tie to Iron Man as his mentor, and he had
Yep.
access to the the financial and networking resources of the Avengers, which was I understand why it was like that for the MCU. It
Mm-hmm.
was just kind of a byproduct of the franchise existing in the way it did. It was fine. I've always been fine with it, but this is better. So I'm glad that we got here eventually. It took what like 10 years, but we finally got a more, traditional down to earth take on Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yes, we really did. And I love it. It kind of has like it was making me remember a little bit like the original Tobey Maguire films a little bit.
Mhm.
Not a ton, but like, I kind of felt that influence because like I think
Mhm.
those films did a pretty good job of like showing Spider-Man Peter Parker in like
Mhm.
this isolated world where he's being like kind of pulled in two different ways.
Mhm.
Like I'm Spider-Man, but I'm also Peter Parker, and he's like trying to balance the two. But like
Yeah.
this one is like taking a very different approach where it's just like nobody knows who Peter Parker is. It's just completely
Right.
different.
Yeah, well, and there's like one visual reminder to the Raimi movies. It's like there's one shot towards the end when he like evolves fully. He dodges the ninja star,
Oh
and the
yeah.
shot kind of reminds me of when he's dodging Flash Thompson's punch in the first movie, and
Wow.
also I
Yeah.
think he dodges Green Goblin's like little whatevers in the same way later on in that movie. But like I feel like there are some deliberate ties to the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi movies. Like he gets the organic web shooters in this one too,
Mm-hmm.
and he even references the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. He's like, "Oh, Peter 2 had him. He was cool." I also like how they lean into how fucking gross the
Yeah.
organic web shooters are.
It's disgusting. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. But yeah, he's just clearly struggling to move on from his past. He longs for those good old
Mhm.
days with his best friend and his love interest. And when he's not wearing the mask, uh, he is basically kind of a different person.
Mhm.
He's not really a friendly neighbor. He's just kind of like, oh yeah, bye. He's just
Yeah.
kind of he's keeping to himself more
Uh
often than
huh.
not.
Yeah. But a couple odd observations that you had that I think I had and many people did as well. You want to talk
Yeah,
about that?
no, I as soon as I left the theater, I was asking myself these questions like, okay, Peter Parker is Spider-Man full time. This is all he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is what his job. This is what he is. How the hell is he paying his rent? Like,
Mm-hmm.
where is his money coming from? How can he afford food and housing and
Right.
flowers regularly? Like, what his full time
Mm-hmm.
gig is being Spider-Man. So I'm kind of unclear where he's getting his money from. And a part of me is like, I really hope the police are not bankrolling him, but I doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like, and I can like suspension of disbelief to an extent, right? But also,
Yeah.
I think it is actually a bigger weakness of this movie than we're gonna talk about, and it doesn't really
Yes.
matter as much to me because I like the movie overall. But I'm like, okay, apart like especially in the Tobey Maguire ones, I don't remember the Andrew Garfield ones as much. I don't think I even ever saw the second one of them, but
Mm-hmm.
um him struggling to pay bills is like a really important part of that character. Like his
Mm-hmm.
landlord is a major character in the movies, remember? And then like he has to have a job, and it's just like one character who doesn't come back, who was also in the Raimi movies, is J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons, and
Yeah.
like traditionally, Peter Parker takes photographs for the Daily Bugle of Spider-Man, and the Daily Bugle is obviously portrayed differently in the MCU than it was back in the day. It's a newspaper. He's more of like an Alex Jones type of guy, but like this setup is perfect for like it's like why would Peter work for this version of J. Jonah Jameson? It's like, well, he needs money and he
Yep.
has no choice. Like something like that would have been fun. Also, a lot of the equipment in Peter's apartment is very high tech stuff. How does he afford that? How does he afford the loft unit in general?
Yeah.
Asbestos, not that I see. But yeah, there is an element of Peter's poverty that is kind of teased to us at the end of No Way Home. and is not really delivered on. He doesn't have financial problems in this movie. He doesn't have a job, and he's doing fine.
Yeah.
Not emotionally, but financially, you know.
Right. Yeah. It's a logistical detail that is silly to dwell on, but I still have questions.
Yeah. It's something they
There's,
could do more with in the next
yeah,
one.
for
Like, I would
sure.
like to see that element of the character return.
Yeah. And I like your idea of the J. Jonah Jameson tie-in too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there's this part of me that's like, well, in our modern era, it's like, well, do the pictures of Spider-Man matter as much?
Mm-hmm.
Like if everyone's got a smartphone and could, in theory, take photos and videos of Spider-Man, it's like, I don't know. There'd be some way they'd need to work that out. I don't have the answer. But there's, a great sequence. There's just another observation. These are also not complaints. These are just observations right now. There's this great sequence, in the film that kind of kicks it off, where a tank is just being driven through New York, crashes into the Department of Damage Control, and Peter, Spider-Man, pulls open the hood, and who is it? It's an old woman driving the tank that's being possessed, and then the possession goes to someone else, and then onwards and upwards, and he chases it down. But I think it's kind of just hilarious that it's an old woman driving the tank to begin with. I think that's so funny, and then she's all disoriented, which makes it great. And there's this part of me that started to think about that character's perspective too, of like, okay, she would probably get all the charges dismissed against her for crashing a tank, like stealing it and driving it into the damage control building because of the whole possession thing. Matt Murdock could give her a great defense, whatever. I have a feeling that the woman would live for the rest of her life with a very odd stigma. Like all of her neighbors would be like, oh, it's that woman who drove the tank into that building. I know it wasn't her, but I can't trust her anymore. Like, I feel like no one would trust her anymore, and it would just irrevocably change her life for the worse.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I didn't think about that, but you might be right. But
yeah,
transitioning away from that a little bit, like we talked about how the movie doesn't really lean on fan service too much and feels confident in standing on its own. That does not mean it's without other like superheroes and cameos in it.
Yes.
But I think there's a distinction here because I think overall this worked really well in this movie and better than it tends to, because the characters that were included were, for the most part, like really relevant to Peter's arc, like thematically. Like on the one hand, we have Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner has an inhibitor. Like the last time we saw him, he was Professor Hulk or something, like Smart Hulk. That's what he was.
Yeah.
And now he's just Bruce Banner again. He has an inhibitor to block the Hulk. This sort of mirrors Peter trying to control his developing arachnid DNA because it's changing his power set and how his body works. And then on the flip side of that, you have Frank, the Punisher, who's living this life of full isolation, right? He's cut off from society. He lives on his own, very similar to what Peter is doing in the years when MJ and Ned are at college. Peter Parker completely shuts himself off and is just committed to the job. They're doing the same thing, right? And we'll talk about Yelena in a second because she's the other big cameo who fits less into this thematically thing. But ultimately, like Peter has to reject both of these, right, in order to win the day and save Jean. Jean Grey is in this movie. We'll get to her from damage control and herself, right? Like he's trying to, he's trying to cage this like new part of himself that really needs to get out and needs to help him evolve into the hero he can be. And also the isolation is just not sustainable. It's mentally taxing. It emotionally breaks him. Like he needs to be Peter Parker too. So he has to let both the Spider and the Man back out so that they can work together to like, be the ultimate version of himself. So I think like, while we have a lot of these other heroes in here, they are there in service of Peter's story, not the other way around.
That's a really good observation. I love that. And I think you hit the nail right on the head there. That totally makes sense to me. And, Yelena, I think that she is somewhat thematically appropriate too. Just because of like, her arc in Thunderbolts or the New Avengers. Because, she's in that movie, she has this whole monologue to her dad about like, oh, I feel so alone, you know, my sister's gone, like I have no one, and like she feels very isolated, and that was a pretty big theme of that movie too, is like community, and it's like the family you choose, and that's how they kind of save Bob in that movie. So I think like tangentially in like kind of conversation with this movie, she's appropriate for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that, yeah, I liked all those kinds of little cameos, like Bruce Banner as the Hulk worked for me, and it was cool to see these kind of two different types of Hulk in the movie too, where it was just like, oh, it's Jean controlling him, and then you have uncaged Hulk who hasn't been let out for years. Like that was fun to see that back on screen. And
first time since Thor Ragnarok, I think we've seen the full-on Hulk.
Yeah, I guess, or like,
well, I guess at the beginning of Infinity War, because yeah,
I think you're right though. I think it's been that long. Every other time it's just been kind of Bruce merged with Hulk, and I know there's a lot of man babies online who get upset about that, and it's like, guys, just deal with it. It's fine. I like that direction with Smart Hulk overall. It's clever, I think. There is like this point in their fight, like when they're fighting in the tower towards the end, where it's like Peter starts saying, like, trying to get Bruce to come out of the Hulk, and he's like, she's like, it's Peter, and like, to me, I feel like at that end of the fight, the Hulk just kind of gave up, and like, I think he kind of recognized who Peter was to a certain degree. Like, I think that's what they were going for. Like, off in the distant right, like in my mind somewhere, I remember seeing like a comic panel of like a similar type of story. Where it's like everybody else in the world forgot Peter except for Hulk. I don't know why exactly, but it's like, I feel like that's what they were starting to get at there before he just kind of dropped.
I'm sure they played with the idea of including that, and my understanding of that comic is that Bruce Banner has forgotten, but the Hulk remembered, probably because whatever went into effect when he was as Bruce Banner, so it didn't affect Hulk. You know, however that works. But
well, yeah, and it's like you get into the logistical details, and it's like, well, how did the Hulk ever meet Peter before then? It's like, I don't think so. So
no, I don't think they did. I don't think the Hulk and Peter have ever met. But whatever, who cares?
Yeah, but it's like I kind of liked that moment, and I was like, okay, we don't need any dialogue, and I think that's just good enough, and some fans will pick up on that and like it. Right. And yeah, I liked Yelena as Black Widow. It's fun to see her in this film. That actress is great.
Yeah, Florence Pugh is great, and I want to say, like, of the post-Endgame characters that have been introduced, Yelena is probably the one that people like the most. And obviously that has to do with her being a pretty good character. Florence Pugh is a fun performance, but I think a big part of it, too, is she just has shown up the most. In the earlier days of this series, like, characters would kind of be in a lot of things, and they would develop relationships with each other over various movies, and then you would see those relationships develop, you know, like a series. And recently, we've talked about this before, but like, we haven't seen Shang-Chi in years. We haven't seen Kate Bishop in years, other than a post-credit scene. Miss Marvel, we haven't really seen that much. Most of the new characters are getting like one and dones, basically. And that's part of why this franchise doesn't work as much as it did before. You know, it's you need, because I've said this before, you've said this before, people don't like when people say this, but the MCU is a TV show. It's a fucking TV show.
Yep,
and
100%.
And it works when it leans into that. It's a theatrically released TV show, so characters like weave in and out of the stories, and it's nothing, but it's too much. But yeah, we can move on to the other characters now. I just wanted to get that point about Yelena across.
You're correct, though. She's shown up the most consistently, and yeah, that's why people like her. I think you're totally right. A character who has shown up, but you know, kind of more intermittently and more from the Netflix days, is the Punisher, Frank Castle. You know, I never really watched any of the Punisher stuff, so I'm not super familiar with.
I tried to. I watched part of the first season. I found it really fucking boring. Honestly, it was kind of hard to watch.
I mean, yeah, it's a show about a guy who is mad and kills people.
Yeah.
That's
I understand. Like, I was on board for the Netflix stuff for a really long time.
yeah,
The Defenders up was okay, and then I kind of just, I don't know, ran out of time to watch all of that stuff.
yeah.
I've heard Daredevil season 3 is amazing. I've heard Luke Cage season 2 is great as well. I don't remember. Like, I liked all of it. It was just like so much TV.
Yeah, it's so much content to get through.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I thought that Frank was a great source of comic relief, and I really did appreciate the banter between him and
Yeah.
Peter. They
Mm-hmm.
really work well. The whole Staten Island bit is hilarious. And they're like when they're both they're talking over each other at MJ, trying to
Mm-hmm.
describe their perspective, and she's just like,
Yep.
I don't know who to agree with here.
Right. Yeah, I also like the scene where they're trying to fight the Hulk and Jean, and Punisher like assigns himself to go kill Jean, and then he's like, "Are you just trying to get out of fighting the Hulk?" And he's like, "No, maybe."
Yeah, I would too. And that, like when Jean inhabits his mind, she's like, "Yo, this guy's fucked up." Like,
Mm-hmm.
that was a good bit.
I like the moment where she speaks to Peter through the Punisher.
Yeah, I liked
well.
all those moments too, where she's
Mm-hmm.
speaking through other
Yeah,
people to
it
him.
was
I thought
great.
that was really
Mm-hmm.
clever. But there's a part of me that is a little conflicted about Frank being in this movie, even though I
Okay.
liked him, just
Mhm.
because the Punisher's whole thing is that he's like judge, jury, executioner. He's
Yep.
kind of a fucked up vigilante who goes around murdering people who kill other people, I
Mhm.
guess. And he doesn't kill anybody in this movie. He tries to, but there's a part of me that feels that his character doesn't really totally fit with the vibe
Okay.
and tone of this film, and
Okay.
it can kind of send maybe a conflicting message, to have your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man teaming up with a murderer on a regular basis. But I'm not going to read too much into it because he was fun in this movie, and I think that's
Yeah.
fine.
Their dynamic is kind of a highlight for me, for sure,
Yeah,
like on a character level. And
agreed.
from what I understand in the comics, like, this is classic Punisher appearing in someone else's comic. Like, he just,
Mhm.
they're like, now this is what I've heard at least, but it's like, they're like, Frank, no killing. And then he just like either doesn't kill people when he's around them, or they just kind of gloss over it or don't really show what he did. And it's like, okay, that's, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. And I like the
Mhm.
performance, and it was fun and all
Mhm.
that stuff.
I like how it ends with him too. Like, I think
Yes.
and then you can see it coming from a mile away, right? Like, he's lining up that shot to shoot Jean, and then Peter hears it with his spidey sense and like blocks the bullet, and then Frank like regrets what he did, brings him to the hospital. Like, I think it's a really sweet resolution to their friendship. And I know the Punisher is not really a character who's meant to evolve much, but it seems like he sees things in a little bit more new perspective. And I like the
Yeah.
way he talks to Peter when his mask is off. He's like, "You're just like how I thought you'd be, nice kid." Like,
Yeah.
it felt very authentic, you know.
I agree, 100%. And I like the ending where Peter just walks out the front door and he's up there
Mhm.
pretending to be Spider-Man Frank in
Yep.
the window. I thought that was very sweet. So good ending.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. I feel stupid for not realizing it, but I didn't connect the dots until someone pointed out online. But the little kid who like waves at him and he
Yeah.
does the little Spider-Man thing at the end. That's Jean. She's saying goodbye to him through the kid.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah,
can't believe I didn't pick that up. That's really smart.
I know, but it's such a nice little moment. She's just because like, yeah, it's great, and it's subtle enough because he could just be to the kid, but nah,
Yeah.
because she
I thought
knows, yeah.
I thought it was just the kids, so
Mm-hmm.
that makes it 100 times better. Love that.
Yeah.
Um, shifting gears, we'll come back to
Mhm.
talking about things that we like, but we have to talk about our big significant issue with this movie,
Uh-huh.
which is the normalization of mass police surveillance / Spider-Man is a flockhead.
Yeah. Palantir Parker.
Palantir Parker. Yes. this
All
is
right.
this is like the only thing I can think about after walking away from this movie. Unfortunately, like I thought about a lot of the good stuff, but it's really
Mm-hmm.
hard to get past this for me because there's this scene in the movie. Peter Parker has kind of started up this good working relationship with like a police detective. I can't remember
Mm-hmm.
her name, but they have phone calls regularly and stuff. And he's talking on the phone with her, and he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I've got my AI technology using, and it's linked up to all the cameras in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
all of them." And he's scanning all of the faces of all the New Yorkers
Mm-hmm.
in rapid succession to find Jean Grey. And the
Mm-hmm.
detective says, "I'll pretend you didn't say that." Like she just kind of ignores it and just brushes it off, and it's never mentioned again.
Mm-hmm.
This makes me so mad. This makes me so mad because this is such an insane invasion, such an insane breach of personal
Mm-hmm.
privacy, and I really,
Mm-hmm.
really, really, really do not like how this movie normalizes the use
Mm-hmm.
of this surveillance tech and methods. It's just like,
Yeah.
because like all these people are going to go see this movie. So many people have already gone and seen this movie. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
grossed over $1 billion at this point. It's going to make so much money. But like, so
Uh-huh.
many people are going to walk away from this movie with this subtle message that it's okay to sacrifice everybody's personal privacy to find one quote unquote bad guy, just one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, that's that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Ah,
Mm-hmm.
because we know that Spider-Man is good, just because
Mm-hmm.
that is a quality of his character, because of his actions, all that good stuff. But what if but he's anonymous. We have no idea
Mm-hmm.
who he is as the public. So what if another anonymous person used this tech? We have no idea if they're good, what their intentions are. What if they use it for other purposes? And this is literally what law enforcement are doing every day. They have access
Yes.
to surveillance tech, and they
Mm-hmm.
can use it to stalk exes, to disproportionately target low income or minority communities, and just generally abuse the system. And it's so dangerous. And I hate that the movie just brushes off the implications, just pushes it
Yeah.
under the rug because Spider-Man is good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and another example, like authorities in Texas apparently used flock cameras, like 38,000 flock cameras, to follow a woman who crossed state lines to get an abortion and then arrested her when she came back. Like it's
Ugh.
this is scary. There's a scary shit that's happening right now, and what's fucked up too is that the the troubling implication exists within the text of the movie too, and it's not addressed. It's like Spider-Man is hunting
Mm-hmm.
this girl on behalf of a government organization who we find out later in the movie are villainous, and she was the one who was wronged.
Mm-hmm.
She's a victim, and he's tracking her down with mass surveillance shit. And that should
Yeah.
have been more of a revelation. Another thing that he does, like, and this is more like in universe troubling, but like his universal inhibitor chip that he made for himself.
Yeah.
Um, we're introducing the X-Men, right? And a big part of the X-Men is, their powers are meant to be an analogy for like civil rights struggles, and
Mm-hmm.
remember X-Men 3 back in the day, there was the mutant cure
Oh yes.
where you could cure, like how people wanted to, like homophobes wanted to cure homosexuality and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, well, like, a lot of people were making like joking comparisons, like Peter Parker in the shot of Oppenheimer after he created the bomb. It's like Peter Parker is, it's like Robert Oppenheimer for mutant suppression in this universe. If they choose to, and at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
movie, like Jean disintegrates it or whatever. So maybe they're trying to say like, this is gone. Don't think about it anymore. Or maybe they're not, and that's going to be a big part of the X-Men. I don't know, but there are a couple troubling things like that in the
Yes.
movie. Um, and like I agree with the criticism, obviously, like especially what we're seeing with AI being developed for the purposes of surveillance. That's one of the main reasons they're doing
Mm-hmm.
it, because nobody fucking likes it. Outside of that, and then the flock cameras that just are appearing everywhere and being used by government and law enforcement to spy on us everywhere, including in some
Mm-hmm.
cases your own home. Some guy found a flock camera installed while he was at work that just like points directly into his house. Um,
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Uh,
don't like it. It makes me so upset, and like it makes me think back to another movie that we've reviewed on this show before, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, Christopher Nolan's 2008 The Dark Knight. We've talked about
Mm-hmm.
it. Episode 7. Please go check it out. I love that movie. But in that film, in the third act, Batman has to use this similar piece of technology that's like echolocation that triangulates,
Mm-hmm.
it creates 3D maps based on echolocation using like phones or something like that. I can't entirely remember, but he needs
Yep.
to use it to track down the Joker because
Mm-hmm.
he's this crazy maniac who's a terrorist who's going to kill a lot of people. And so it's this one-time use case. Like at the end of the movie where he's just like, once you, he tells Lucius Fox, he's like, once you're done, type your name and press enter. And when he
Mm-hmm.
does it, it self-destructs and the tech is like implied to be just destroyed by the end of the movie. I still don't
Yes.
love the entire message and the implication of using that tech there, but it's better than Brand New Day because at least in that instance, our heroes, our protagonists, understand how dangerous and invasive this technology
Mm-hmm.
is. So he made the
Yep.
point of eliminating it after it was used. It was like, this is a one-time thing, never touching it again, because we know how dangerous it is and it's so invasive. But Brand New
Right.
Day does not do that.
Yeah, I mean, in The Dark Knight, like, it's literally, the comparison is burning the forest down. Because remember earlier in the movie, he asked Alfred how
Yes.
they found the jewel thief, right? And he's like, we burned the forest down. And yeah, I think it speaks to a troubling shift in our society that in 2008, this tech was deployed in the movie, and it is immediately condemned by Lucius Fox, one of our heroic characters, and destroyed
Mhm.
after a single use. Like, it's viewed as a necessary evil in the moment, but like within the text of that franchise, the actions Batman and Gordon take at the end of that movie are mistakes that lead to a worse outcome down the road, right? Like
Mhm.
the lie to Gotham about the man Harvey Dent was backfires,
Yes.
and stuff like that. So it's treated like as something. It's like it's the wrong thing to do, but for the right reasons, and we won't do it again. And they like pay the price for that decision later. But in this, it's just like, lol, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, it would have been like I like yeah, it is like a troubling trend to see it
Mm-hmm.
this movie kind of normalizing surveillance and being like, it's okay, don't think about it,
Mm-hmm.
it's there, just don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But like what I would have loved, what I would have really really loved and would have made this movie better is if like at the end of the movie, Peter has that phone call with a detective, right? And he's talking
Mm-hmm.
with her about like, oh, I'm going to take some time off. I'm doing this and that, yada yada yada. And I just wish that he could have like thrown in at least one or two lines where it's just like he acknowledges how fucking invasive and wrong the
Mm-hmm.
surveillance cameras are, and he's like, I'm not going to use them anymore. I don't think that you should use them. Like, we're just not going to use them anymore. Just like even like a two lines would have been better than none.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Yep, you're right.
Anyway, back to the fun stuff. I will briefly talk about the Department of Damage Control. I got real like Cecil Stedman vibes, like Invincible,
Oh yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
from this whole department a little bit, where it's like we got to find a way to kind of use this technology, repurpose it, rehabilitate these
Mm-hmm.
people to like do some good in the world. It was
Right.
kind of going down that way, which I appreciated, kind of throwing that into the movie. But as soon as Tramell Tillman showed up in this movie, he plays Mr. Milchek from
Mm-hmm.
Severance. I immediately knew how the rest of the movie was going. I'm like, that's the villain. That's the ultimate
Yep.
villain right there. Like, it was no longer a mystery to me. He just immediately obvious, but I think that actor, he does such a fantastic job playing a sinister
Mm-hmm.
character. Even if he's not as sinister as Mr. Milchek, I still appreciate him and what he did.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Yes, it's obvious when he shows up and when Peter goes like. At least they didn't commit to the like scary kind of government agency being good guys. It's like, yeah, they're obviously bad guys, and they were bad guys. That's good.
Yeah.
Spider-Man shouldn't be aligned with the fucking like federal government in this
Yeah.
way, I think.
Agreed. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we got to talk about Sadie Sink as Jean Grey. This is the biggest, I would say, addition to the MCU we've had in a long time. This is our first of the new X-Men. Um,
Yes.
and like her being Jean was theorized for a long time on the internet, and people were right. So yeah, go
Yeah.
for it.
For me, I did not really have that fully spoiled for me before seeing
Hmm.
this movie, so I thought it was a great reveal. I saw the speculation, but I was kind of like, I don't really. I'm just gonna let the movie reveal itself to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I was happy
Right.
with that. And I appreciated how they introduced this character in this film too. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
it felt very organic and authentic, and I think it made sense and it fit well within the story. Um, and I will say that I also appreciate that this villain, this antagonist, was not like a classic Spider-Man foe or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Like it's not Green Goblin or like Sandman or anything like that. It's like we're just gonna throw in an X-Men who's just like a kid, and
Mm-hmm.
she's not like trying to kill anybody. She's just like trying to find her sister, and like that's just like it feels fresh, it feels original, it feels grounded, it
Mm-hmm.
feels authentic, and it also just feels like a bold way to start really introducing the new X-Men characters as well.
Yeah, and it felt very X-Men, like it
Yeah.
feels like this is a young mutant kid who her powers have developed. She doesn't have any resources to rely on because her parents threw her out, which
Hmm.
ties in with how the X-Men are portrayed. Typically, they're portrayed as outsiders in one way or another, and
Yeah.
kind of like a lot of times discarded by their parents, like that famous scene in X-Men 2 where Bobby Iceman like comes out to his parents as a mutant,
Right.
remember? And then they're like, "Have you tried not being a mutant?" Like, just awful.
uh,
But I like that, like, the development of her powers puts her in, trouble, and she's not like mature enough yet, and also she's too desperate to like really be fully responsible with how she's handling all that. And it also, like, not that bigotry is rational in any sense, but it also like sets up a dynamic for maybe why people in the MCU would be so hateful towards mutants when they aren't to other
yeah.
heroes, because their first experience with them is Jean like popping through everybody's heads, which is a very cool visual and interesting
Super cool.
expression of her power, I think. um yeah, I think she was great. I'm excited to see more of the X-Men. I also really liked the VMAX reveal. I think
Yeah.
one, the whole relationship with her sister was great, but VMAX, it's like it's an excellent emotionally centered reveal because it's built up as like a MacGuffin, and you're kind of thinking throughout the movie it's something, and then it's purely an emotional character based reveal. It's not a
Hmm.
device, it's not technology, it's just the last thing her sister saw before she died.
Yeah.
And that's so much more powerful than anything else it could have been.
Yeah. Because yeah, I think like when you first see it, you're like, oh, is that like a super weapon or is that like a virus or
Mhm.
something? Like it just has that feeling to it. But then yeah, you're right. The emotional payoff is devastating, and
Yeah.
I think it
Like it got
really
gasps in the theater. It
yeah.
hit. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. I remember just being yeah, just kind of blown away by that reveal. So yeah,
Mhm.
Sadie's a great actor. Love her in this. I think she's pretty perfect as Jean Grey as
Mhm.
well. So excited to see her become a phoenix down the
Yep.
line.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's some other core themes too that I wanted to address as well. Isolation and loneliness and community. We talked about those earlier, but also within this movie, there are these very powerful themes of maturity and growth too, and kind of
Mhm.
coming to terms with like who you are as a person, like identity development. And
Mhm.
I think these are really strong in this movie too. The stresses of being Spider-Man are significant for Peter Parker, and he sees his old friends moving on. They graduate from MIT, they go to college,
Mhm.
and he's just fighting crime the whole time. They're making new friends. They move in together. MJ's got a boyfriend now, and
Mhm.
between seeing that and the stresses of his job, it kind of creates this conflict within Peter and his like kind of
Mhm.
hormones and the arachnid. within him, that arachnid
Right.
DNA too, and he's
Hmm.
trying to suppress that arachnid part of him for the entire
Yeah.
movie, basically. But the imbalance keeps growing
Hmm.
and growing. Hmm.
Yeah, I love that scene too, where he goes to the party, um, early on. Like he like sees Ned in the store, and there's the funny moment with the like, I don't know, like 5 hour energy on steroids thing that Ned gets or
Yeah.
whatever. But it's like, it's really movingly sad because he stopped living basically, and he goes there sort of hoping, like, I think just hoping against hope that like he can pick up where he left off, but it's not like that for them. They've lived for years without him. They don't know who he
Hmm.
is. And I like that feel. I can like see so many people, young people especially, like relating to like seeing someone you liked a long time ago and kind of had hope that you'd rekindle something later on, and then it's like you're feeling that connection again, and then you see they're with someone, and it's like
Yeah.
just a crushing blow to your heart. um I think that worked really well. And it just, I'm
Agreed.
guessing the boyfriend was meant to be a bigger character at some point in the script, because the guy who plays him, I don't think he's a huge actor or anything, but he plays Ezra in Ahsoka.
I thought I
um
recognized him. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. And like, they ultimately set things up in a way where Peter and MJ are going to eventually get back together, right? Like they're like, "Oh yeah, I have a boyfriend, but like things aren't super great. They're just okay."
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. They're planting that seed now, and yeah, I
yeah.
agree with that. That whole scene is, it's like an emotional gut punch, because
Mhm.
he doesn't even tell him that his true
Yeah.
name. He's just kind of like, I'm just a friendly
Maynard.
neighbor. I'm Maynard, just popping
Mhm.
by with some flowers.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's so sweet.
Mhm.
Um, he really misses them, and he's trying to that imbalance within him continues to grow,
Yeah.
because of
But
that party.
I also like that there's like they don't remember him, and they don't miss him specifically, but they know something is missing. Like Ned is trying to find out who
Hmm.
Spider-Man is, because he's like, he saved us so much when we were kids. Like, I just want to know who he is. I want to understand why this happened to me. Like, so there's like this sort of like magnetism that's pulling them back together a little bit, and that will allow for
Hmm.
like an organic reunion later on, I think.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, all this kind of climaxes these themes, and during the fight in the Department of Damage Control, and with all those
Hmm.
ninjas. I can't remember what they're called, but
The Hand.
the Hand. Thank you.
Hmm. They're
Um,
villains in Daredevil.
ah, gotcha. But I think he comes to this realization in that moment where he's like, I can't continue to live in complete isolation.
Hmm.
I need to branch out and make connections and rekindle those relationships I've had, but I also can't continue to deny like who I am, and like these other parts
Hmm.
of me that are essential to my being, like this arachnid part. And like he just kind of has this like, you know, great moment of just like badassery, I'll call it, where it just like all clicks for him, and he just like
Hmm.
wipes the floor with everybody and gets
Yep.
in there really quick, and it's pretty satisfying. That's a great action sequence too. It feels
Hmm.
very real, and it's like, I don't think they filmed this on a green screen. This looks so good. I love it.
Yeah, it's great looking.
Yeah. But then, yeah, by the end of the film, Peter's kind of reconnected with MJ. She understands the backstory, and he's starting to respark this friendship with Ned. And
Hmm.
they have that little handshake at the end that kind of like, it's implied, that it's like, oh, it kind of broke the spell a little bit, maybe.
Hmm.
But I think it also leaves it ambiguous enough where it's like maybe it didn't. But I'm glad that they're kind of resparking it, and I'm overall happy with this ending. But there is a small part of me that kind of wishes that he didn't just go back to his old friends and instead found new ones, because you know I guess these relationships in a way are brand new. At
Hmm.
least on one side, they are very new, not really
Hmm.
for him. But these themes of growth and maturity, I think as we grow older, some of your friendships just kind of fade, and you don't
Hmm.
rekindle that. People move,
Yep.
people's lives change, and things like that. So for me, I feel like it probably would have been more appropriate for him to like finish the movie by moving on and starting to form his own community. That's not like,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have Ned or MJ. It's like just completely brand new characters, a whole slate. But you know, you don't have a lot of time to make that work. So, you know,
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, and I agree on one level with like the sentiment of like life changes and you move on and new things happen, but
yes,
I kind of disagree. Like one I think like Tom Holland and Zendaya's chemistry is just great, like for
yeah,
obvious reasons, right? They're
agreed.
fucking married. Um,
Yeah,
but I think like this trio is kind of the heart of this iteration of Spider-Man,
yeah,
and I
true.
I like that he's reconnecting with them. I also but I am happy that they committed to them not remembering him for the entire movie. That was a big, I
Yeah,
think it's something we talked about when we reviewed No Way Home, that it's like you have to do this right, because if you have them
hmm,
remember him within the first act or something, then it kind of cheapens the sacrifice at the end of the last movie. But you want those characters in the movie to sort of like give the weight of the loss, and then also eventually have those relationships continue.
yeah,
I like the way they did it here too, because you're sort of like he's sort of reintegrating with them, but MJ doesn't remember him by the end of the movie still. Ned does, presumably, and like I think it's pretty clearly meant to be like their little secret handshake. Like it's like muscle memory for Ned, and it just kind of snaps him out of it. Like I think the
yeah,
interpretation is meant to be Ned now remembers Peter and his memories with Peter. But I like that they're like, no, we're gonna make you wait for MJ. Like, you don't get to have them fully reconnect until the next time. You know, it's like
yeah,
it'll happen. You know it'll happen now, so you can like feel good when you leave the theater, but you don't get to see it yet. I like that commitment. Um, and I
yeah.
want to talk
Agreed.
about Ned and MJ a little bit more too, because I just like I love the way they're included in this movie. Like I
Hmm.
said, like I love the commitment to having them not remember him the entire movie. It gives like a new dynamic to their relationship as well. It really plays
Yeah,
into his decision to fully isolate himself from the world. Like that. What that said, it still lets him interact with them. You know, and you can kind of see the strength in their relationships by how they sort of do fall back into sync in a lot of ways when they're all together. Like Ned and Peter start quoting the Lord of the Rings at each other in a
hmm,
way that would normally just be irritating and cringe, but for those characters is kind of sweet, actually. And Ned doesn't
yeah.
know who Peter is, but he's like excited to see Spider-Man, and they're like building Legos, which was a big part of what they did in the like earlier movies. Um,
Right.
but one of my favorite parts of the movie, actually, and I think a part that's honestly important for boys and young men to see. Um, I think this was a really mature and sweet way to show how to properly handle rejection,
Yeah.
and showed the character of MJ doing the rejecting, also being super kind to Peter. Like I think this is kind of, obviously there's magic involved here, right? Like MJ doesn't even
Yes.
know who he is, but I think the sentiment still applies. Like, first of all, MJ completely blameless. Just as a
Yep.
reminder, right? She asked Peter to come find her at the end of the last movie, and he chose not to do that. He had his reasons, understandable reasons. I think this is a mistake a lot of guys specifically make too. It's like you isolate yourself thinking you're doing the right thing for yourself or someone else, but you end up just closing yourself off when you didn't need to do
Yeah.
that. But I think also like her initial anger towards him is understandable. Like he has this really heartfelt note that um he was supposed to give her and he didn't, and she found it, and that's probably really uncomfortable
Hmm.
to deal with emotionally. And also like I'm sure she was angry at him for like pretending they didn't really know each other or have any history when they obviously did. And I could see that almost feeling like someone who has like romantic feelings for someone but hides it for a really long time and then comes clean later on. Like I know that can feel like a betrayal in a sense
Hmm.
too. But ultimately, she's nice to him and recognizes that like the memory wipe version of her and him
Yeah.
were probably really important to each other. But there's nothing she can do about that. Like, she doesn't have those feelings. So
Exactly.
but I think what's key here, though, is that, like, after she says all that and goes to leave, she realizes she doesn't have her phone or a way to get home and asks him for a ride. And he immediately takes her. Like, he doesn't think twice about it. He's just like, yeah, of course. To any young boys in our audience, this is how you handle rejection. Right here.
Yeah.
This is it. This is what it looks like to be a good man as well. I know there are a lot of people on the internet who will tell you a lot of different things. They're fucking lying to you. I heard a lot of people coming out, or about a lot of people coming out of this movie talking about this scene with the attitude that, like, oh, fuck that, fuck her, not taking her home after that. And it's like, guys, this is why girls won't talk to you, man. Like, that attitude is why.
Be
like,
a decent human being. Like,
be a decent,
just
like,
it's so easy.
It's very, very easy. And, like, this is also, yeah. It's like, if you ask someone out, share your feelings. If they say no, that's fucking fine. You can, like, move on from them entirely. Or if you like them in a different way, you can just try to be friends. Be normal, like, as we say all the time. Just be fucking normal. But like, after that too, like, you know, credit to her side of things as well. Like, she shows him kindness again by offering to let him come up and say hi to Ned, which is, she's giving him, she doesn't have feelings for him, but she's giving him a doorway to being, like, in her and her friends' lives anyway, because she can see he's hurting, and obviously, like, there was something there. So she's like, look, you can still, like, be around if you want to. I don't have these feelings for you, but, like, you seem like a good guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's very kind.
Yeah. And building on that too, when Jean is possessing MJ earlier in the movie, she pretends to be MJ and remember Peter, and they kiss, and he admits what happened to her. He's like, hey, I thought it was you. It wasn't. I kissed you. I just wanted to let you know. Like, that's pretty important too. Like, that's a consent thing. Like, hey, I didn't know. I violated your, like, space and boundaries, and I'm sorry. That's, you know, good stuff.
Some very,
you know?
some very good important lessons there. Yeah, 100% agree. I think it's very powerful, and it's important for young people to watch.
Yeah, well, let's... I mean, any final thoughts on this movie specifically before we move on to the next little...
No, I think... Yeah, it's a fun old time. Yeah, I think I've said my piece on it, my opinions. It's... If you like MCU stuff, if you like Spider-Man, you're going to like it.
Speaking of MCU stuff, I wanted to talk about our thoughts on the future of the MCU, both good and bad. Initially, very excited for the X-Men now.
Yeah, me too.
I am excited for the new cast. They had some casting announcements for that movie. I'm excited to see where that goes. On the flip side, Doomsday. I'm not really pumped for this movie at all. Secret Wars either, especially now that Kevin Feige is kind of hinting that it's going to be a soft reboot for the franchise. Boo, cowardly. I hate it. But Brand New Day showcased a lot of the promise of what a post-Endgame MCU could be all about, right? Like we talked about already, I love the recurring characters like Frank and Yelena showing up. I like how Peter has matured and is sort of like, he's not old, but he's not the kid of the series anymore. He's more of a young adult, and he's kind of like acting as an older, more mentor figure to this young kid trying to find her way, right? This is the kind of stuff I want and wanted to see more of, not the Fox era X-Men teaming up with Steve Rogers to fight Doctor Doom, who fucking looks like Iron Man for some reason. Like, I'm begging you guys to just move the fuck forward. I've said goodbye to the Fox X-Men in 2006, and then again in 2014, and then again in Logan, whenever that came out. Like, I'm done. I don't need them anymore.
Yep. I've passed that phase of my life. I'm right there with you.
Like, I don't need to fucking see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine anymore. I loved him. He was great. It was done.
Yep. Let him rest. Let him collect those paychecks. Just like you don't need to do anything anymore, dude. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I would much rather see new things, new innovative ideas rather than just rinse,
Hmm.
repeat. Like, give me something that's a little bit different than what I know. We just retire
Hmm.
some of those older characters and let them stay retired.
Yeah, I thought that's what Endgame was, and I
Hmm.
liked it for that. Like, I thought it was a good one of those things. You had Steve Rogers show up as an old man at the end. You had
Yeah,
Iron Man die. Leave him alone.
perfect. Yeah, just stop it and just move on to something new. And I guess they did try a little bit, but I don't know. So some things just didn't click, you know.
Are you excited to see a 95-year-old Ian McKellen throw a Captain America shield at Iron Man?
Boy, am I. Oh my god.
In terms of Spider-Man's future, though, specifically, I think in the next Spider-Man movie they should introduce Miles Morales,
Yes,
and then they should
agreed.
have him be bit by a spider either at the end or in a post-credits of that movie, and then in the next one have like Peter mentoring him as a hero, and then pass the mantle at the end, and that can be the end of Peter's story. I don't think he needs to die like he does in the original Miles Morales story, but I think like Peter can like retire or do something else, and then Miles can take the Spider-Man mantle going forward. I mean, that
Yes.
what it's like, it'd be like 10 years from now or something like that. But um, I think that is what they should start moving towards. Because and by that time too, the Spider-Verse trilogy will be well over, and people are now very familiar with Miles Morales as a character because of those movies. Seems like the right move. Start introducing him now, build up to that, and then because I don't think Tom Holland will want to do this after two more. Like,
Yeah, like I think it would be interesting to like come back to for him to come back to this character like in like I don't know 15, 20 years, you know, if they're
mm-hmm,
still making superhero movies by that time, just because it's like we would see a much older version of Peter
mm-hmm,
Parker like trying to navigate this life. Like I think that could be very interesting.
mm-hmm.
But at the same time I'm like, yeah, like he's already done four of these. He he can stop at any time. He's done good, kid. He's done good.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I agree. Let's pass the mantle to some other folks.
All right. Well, with that, let's move on to some other stuff and start closing out the show. Niles, what have you been watching, reading, or playing the last couple weeks?
I can't remember if I mentioned it during our Odyssey review, but I finished Severance season two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I mentioned it. I'm not quite sure. Can't remember. But what a fantastic show! I love that show, and that's why I have Mr. Milchick on the mind. You know, it's so fantastic. There's so much good shit in that show. The way it's
Mm-hmm.
shot, it's so thoughtful,
Yep.
and I'm glad that we got some answers this season. But now I have even more questions. Like, what is Lumen's ultimate goal? Like, what? Like, there's so many other things that I want to know, but like, it's. I'm glad that I now know what micro data refinement was doing, which is great. But it's a great show. I would recommend everybody to check it out. Severance is
Mm-hmm.
amazing, um, and I
Yeah.
think the only other thing. Sorry, what, you're gonna
Oh,
say
I just
anything about
want to say,
Severance?
like, I don't want to spoil it, but there's one for people who haven't watched the show, but there's one scene where Adam Scott really gets to like capital A act. Um, it has to do with
Yes.
a camera, and it was really good. It's one of my favorite parts of that season. I think just
Oh yeah, that was a good sequence.
mhm.
I don't want to give anything away there too, but it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Otherwise, just been watching mainly guilty pleasure shows lately because I feel like I've been so busy, so I haven't done a lot of
Hmm.
new stuff. So like Bob's Burgers, House Hunters. It's like stupid guilty pleasure, Ghost Adventures a little bit. Those are always
Hmm.
fun. Zach Bagans, but I've also watched a little bit of Last Week Tonight. Actually, just watched the Surveillance episode the other day,
Mm.
so that was fresh on my mind going into a brand new day.
Yeah.
What about you, Dylan? What about you? What have you been up to?
Continuing to read The Name of the Wind. I'm closing in on the end. Almost done. It's a really good book. I like it a lot. Also, just finished the new season of House of the Dragon last night when the season finale aired. And I think once Niles catches up. I think that's going to be our next episode as well. It'll be fun to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How far are you in House of the Dragon?
I'm still just 2 episodes in. I haven't made any progress.
All right. Well, we'll get there. And then lastly, the only other thing I've been doing is just continuing to play Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. God, it's such a good game. And it reminds me of how much I love the original. But I realized, like, when I was a kid, like, I was so drawn in to just the main story. I skipped so much of the, like, side assassin content. So I'm like, I'm spending a lot more time like doing the assassination missions and Templar hunts and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't even remember any of these characters because I don't know if I interacted with them when I played the game when I was in high school. Like, so that's a lot of fun. It's like returning to an old favorite, but also new to me in a lot of ways. So really,
that's awesome.
Really enjoying that a lot. But I think that is going to do it for us this week. We'll be back in a couple weeks to talk House of the Dragon, but until then, Niles, where can people find you online?
You can follow me on Instagram at Niles Got No Styles, and on this podcast, obviously, Play Pause Rewind. But what about you, Dylan? Where can people follow you online?
On Instagram at DylanD1026, on Twitter at D-Day Movies, on YouTube at D-Day Movies, and you can find me and Niles both here at Play Pause Rewind and our second channel, Play Pause Rewind Videos, with new episodes every 2 weeks or so. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. If you like the show, please leave a 5-star review. Share it with a friend or a family member if you think they'd like it. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Bye.